Hi, this video is a continuation of polynomial division where we will focus on synthetic division. So the video prior to this you learned about long division, which is a great method. This is a method that kind of can be viewed as a shortcut, but you've got to learn the algorithm. So synthetic division we will use when we are dividing a polynomial by a polynomial, such as we have here. To use synthetic division, we must have a coefficient for every possible power of the variable. So if you take a look at what we have a fourth degree polynomial as our dividend, 5x to the fourth minus 4x squared. Notice that there's a jump here from a degree of 4 to a degree of 2. Because we are missing the cubic term, we must account for there being a cubic term by understanding that that would be 0x cubed. 0 as this coefficient, 0 times x cubed would be 0, which is why we don't see it. So that's the first thing we need to make sure we look for. So next what we're going to do is write these terms so that the polynomial is in descending order. So if I rewrite this, we would have 5x to the fourth plus 0x cubed minus 4x squared plus x minus 6. So to get started, what we are going to do is take all of these terms and create a row of all of the coefficients. So step 2 here, write the constant r of the divisor x minus r to the left and write down the coefficients. So if I was to get started on this problem here, I would first recognize that this, if you remember about polynomials or factors of polynomials, if you have x minus 3 as a factor, then x equals 3. So that's what they're talking about when they say x minus r, write down r. Okay, so you're just going to switch it. So since this is a positive 3, I'm going to put 3 up here in a little box here. Then I'm going to list all of the coefficients of the polynomial that is the dividend. So it starts off with 5, then 0, then negative 4, then 1, then 6. Now what we're going to end up doing is writing a row of numbers underneath this. So I would leave space and come down here and then extend another line all the way to the end and then create a little box here at the end, because what is going to end up here will be our remainder. Okay? So from the PowerPoint slide, which outlines all the steps, so I highly recommend you print it out if needed, it says the first thing you're going to do is to bring down the first coefficient, 5. So I'm going to go through the PowerPoint real quick and then I'll do the problem. You bring down the first coefficient, 5. Step 4 says next you will multiply the first coefficient by by r, so that 3 times 5 is 15. So essentially we're going to multiply these two together and then write our answer here. Then we're going to add these numbers. So 0 and 15 is 15. Please don't think about adding in any extra signs. Just recognize that 0 and 15 makes 15. And then it's just a repetitive process. 3 times 15 would be 45. Then we would combine these terms. Negative 4 plus 45 is 41. Repeat the process again, multiplying by r. 3 times 41 is 123. Combine our terms here, 124, and then multiply again. 3 times 124 is 372. And then 6 plus 72 would give us 378. Okay? And then I'll show you what to do with those numbers. All right, so again, I'm going to repeat the process, but do it here on paper. So again, our first step is to write in r as a box and write down all of our coefficients. So we bring our first number down. We get 5. 3 times 5 is 15. 0 plus 15 is 15. 3 times 15 is 45. Negative 4 plus 45, I'm saying plus because it's positive, That's a 41. 3 times 41 is 123. 1 plus 123 is 124. 3 times 124 is 372. And 6 plus 372 is 378. So if you can do mental math, multiplication and addition is going to help you a lot, but you can always just use your calculator if you need to. So let's talk about what information we're given here. What we now know is what the coefficients are for our answer. All right, so the first thing you need to know is to write your quotient, that the degree of your quotient will always be 1 less than the degree of your dividend. So if we start off with x to the 4th, then in our answer, this now becomes the coefficient of a term with 1 degree, or that's 1 degree lower. So this will be 5x cubed. And then we continue to write our terms in descending order. So we'll have 5x cubed plus 15x squared plus 41x plus our constant 124. We can see that we have a number in this box that is our remainder. It is positive, so we put plus 378 over our divisor, which was x minus 3. So had we done this by long division, we would have gotten the exact same answer. But this allows us to kind of take the variables out of the picture and work with just the numbers. So let's try another one. All right, and we're going to do the next one from the PowerPoint slide if you look at the PowerPoint. So for our next example, we have negative 5x to the 5th power minus 21x to the 4th minus 3x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2x plus 2. And all that I'm going to write as x plus 4, or it'd be multiplied by x plus 4 to the negative 1. So recall that x plus 4 to the negative 1 again means division. Just trying to remind you of the different ways you might see the representation of division like we did in the last video. So if you feel like you've picked up really quickly and you understand, please go ahead and pause. If not, follow through and then and work along with me, pausing along the way. So remember that our first step is to write down in our box the r value. So if we are dividing by x plus 4, the opposite of plus 4 would be negative 4. Next, check to see all your terms are in descending order without any powers missing. We have x to the 5th, 4th, cubed, squared, first power, constant, so none are missing. So we'll now create a row of these coefficients, leaving space in between, including our constant. Leave space for the numbers you're going to write above this line. Draw a segment here to represent your remainder box. And then go back through the process. So to repeat, if you bring down negative 5 and then multiply by negative 4, you get 20. You don't have to put arrows if you don't want. Negative 21 plus 20 is negative 1. Negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. Negative 3 combined with positive 4 is 1. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4, or excuse me, 4 minus 4 is 0. Negative 4 times 0 is 0. Negative 2 plus 0 is negative 2. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. 2 plus 8 is 10. So you can see once you learn the process, that's a minimal amount of work compared to doing the long division process. So remember to write our quotient. Because we started off with x to the 5th, our answer will start off with a degree of x to the 4th. So negative 5x to the 4th minus an understood 1 x cubed plus an understood 1 x squared plus, this would technically, I'll put the ones in there just so you can see it and I'll rewrite it. This would be 0x to the 1st minus 2. We have a positive remainder, so we'll write it as plus 10 over our divisor, x plus 4. To kind of clean this up, because we have 0 times x, that would be 0, and we don't need these understood ones, we would want your answer to look like this. The last thing I'm going to do with this problem is review how to type it in your calculator to check your answer. So remember from the previous video, the first thing you do is you type in your dividend. So negative 5x to the 5th power. Probably need to use your right arrow to arrow over. Minus 3x to the 3rd plus 4x squared minus 2x plus 2. Make sure I have it all in there right. All right, and then we're going to put in our divisor times our quotient. So our divisor is x plus 4, and we're going to multiply by the quotient that we got, which is our answer. Negative 5x to the 4th minus x to the 3rd plus x squared minus 2 plus 10 divided by, and remember what I said in the last video, when you do your remainder, you need to put parentheses around the denominator here in your remainder. So x plus 4 will go here in parentheses, but then you need one more set of parentheses to close off what is the quotient. Remember we talked about there being an error message, so if you think about what number plus 4 will give you a denominator of 0, meaning it's undefined, that would be negative 4. So I expect to see an error message at negative 4. But as long as all the other numbers in y1 and y2 are correct, then my answer is correct. And that looks good. You can see here at negative 4, that's where that error message. But other than that, all of our y1 and y2 values match. So that is our quotient. I'm going to give you one more to see if you can practice this and do this independently. And then check your answer. All right, so go ahead and hit pause to try this, and then you can come back and check your answer. All right, so hopefully you got this as your quotient. If so, good job.